Greetings, everyone.
Good evening. I would like to open up this special meeting of the Newbury Conservation Commission. We have before us a request for determination of applicability from the Mass Division of Fish and Wildlife, Pat Huckery, for treatment of invasive species at Kents Island Road off of Hay Street. Good evening.
Good evening to all of you. Thank you for having us tonight. I have with me Ann Gagnon. She's our land agent. We were looking at some other things today, so we just put a number of projects together today. And she's here with me. She knows the island pretty well too. And she will be the person that will help me delineate. We're going to delineate the wetlands. We both have the experience to do that. We're going to flag those before we do the work.
Okay.
Anyway, so the proposal is on Kents Island, and do you guys all know where Kents, on William Forward Wildlife Management Area, which the division owns. It's a property that's approximately 3,000 acres, with this beautiful island in the center of it. And we just drove over the bridge that was finished, literally last week, and we stopped and took our pictures on it. And it's a beautiful bridge, so that is going to facilitate us doing all the habitat work that we have been planning literally since 2012. We have a management plan for the entire island, which includes the subject of this RDA, which is invasive plant management. And the reason we are proposing to do that before we do whole tree harvest or prescribed burning on the island is because there is an abundant, the invasive plants are there in abundance. The proposal says 155 acres and shows the shading over the entire island. When in fact, it's not really like that. We did that because it's hard to pull out, like in this section, say this section over here, we have very little invasive species over here. This is a hop hornbeam community, very few over here. It's patchy. You come up the road here, it's thick as thieves with invasive species. Along some of the roads, it's very thick. We have swallowwort on this road right here, which is now climbing up the trees. So it's spotty, and instead of trying to just make little, GPS points of where we have patches, we cover the whole island. So what I'm saying is that it says 155 acres, but it won't be by far, not that many. So we have this project is part of a grant project that we've been working on for a while. It's called the ANALCA grant, North American Wetlands Conservation Grant. Was part of that money was used to do this restoration at the bridge site to restore marsh. But what we also proposed is creating like black duck mallard breeding habitat, nesting habitat along the island. Because one of the limiting factors for those species is that they don't have nesting habitat at a high enough elevation that the eggs aren't swamped by the tide. So that's what we're creating eventually around the island. And the reason I pinched this one off from the other habitat work that we're doing is because our grant is coming to an end, and this is the part that we have to finish for the grant. We're going to have contractors do this invasive species work with the supervision of our habitat people. We have someone named Ben Mazii. I'm going to be on site, and we also have John Scanlon. I don't know if you're familiar with them.
Okay. But that doesn't mean anything.
Okay, well, we have a whole habitat section at the Division of Fisheries and Wildlife, and they're the ones who wrote the original plan for all of this habitat work, so they're going to be directly overseeing contractors. So the objective is to use sensitive chemicals that can be used in a foliar application. We're not doing any aerial work. It's going to be like backpack sprayers. There might actually be a truck with a sprayer on it in order to get to all of the swallowwort. There's a lot of buckthorn, euonymus, honeysuckle, multiflora rose. All of those have to be cut. What you do is you cut them, the stem, and the stem has to be swabbed with the herbicide, and then it's taken into the root. We know that one application is not necessarily going to wipe them off the island. We have future monitoring that we'll be doing ourselves, and future follow-up that we'll be doing ourselves, but the grant is paying for this part of it. The other invasive plants we found where it's like, we've got bittersweet, so it's already said swallowwort, bittersweet, euonymus, Flora rose, honeysuckle, buckthorn, I forgot that one, so buckthorn is also out there. And some of those plants are within the buffer zone of, there's a pond that's in the center of the island. It's actually a beautiful pond and has cattails in it, but it's open water, just like it shows on the map. And the buffer zone to this pond is just full of invasive plants. Most of them are shrubs and bittersweet vine. So those are the ones that will be cut and swabbed. So the work in the buffer zone is very restricted to the stems.
Are there enough non-invasives to, are you gonna repopulate with anything, or are you gonna allow the natural environment to come back once you get rid of?
No, we're not replanting.
Okay.
What we always do is we'll go in and we'll do the invasive work, and there will be enough native plants there that can colonize, which is why we have to come back and monitor and possibly do the second treatment.
Now, when you have private contractors out there, these are licensed applicators,
Licensed
and so you're gonna be watching them.
Yes.
Do you dictate the chemicals they use, or do you tell them where they're treating, and do you leave that up to them and it's their liability? Who?
We dictate that.
Okay,
That'll be dictated by the habitat section.
okay, that makes me feel better.
Yeah, and Ben did give me a list of chemicals. He can't be here tonight. He said we could call him if we wanted to talk more about the chemicals, but he chose like 3 or 4 different ones. And it's them choosing them throughout EPA, sensitive
Yep.
list. We're using in sensitive habitats. Usually like it's if you're working in wetlands or working in water, like a stream or really close to like streams and stuff. So, so we're using those on the entire island. Most of the island is upland. There are fields, we still have these, we have a number of fields. Bob Colby maintains some of these fields up here for us. The fields don't really have much in the way of invasives in them. They're just like European grass fields, and there's thank you, lots of goldenrod, tons of monarch butterflies out there.
Nice.
Today, lots of milkweed. Those are not native plants, but they're not invasive, so we won't be treating most of the field area, and that's like 20 acres.
What do they typically do up there now? Just mow that once
It's
a
just
year or something?
yeah, Bob mows the parts that are, he mows up to July 15th and he gets mulch hay out of it. But there's some of it that's really not even worth mulch hay. It really is a lot of plants that aren't worth it at all. So, yeah, so what he does occasionally, I think we've got a 3-year plan. Dan was asking me that, and I don't know which year we're on. But he goes in and he just goes and mows it, just lays it down.
You used to like plant corn up there too, right?
Many years ago, or 15 years ago, yes.
That's not a common practice anymore.
No, we have gotten away from planting corn. And the reason is that we used to do it like 20 or 25 years ago when the deer populations weren't as abundant as they are now. We were doing it for deer and for Canada geese, and neither of those species need our help anymore. So, like I said, Ann and I are gonna flag out the wetland areas, and to the best of our ability, we're gonna be flagging out and demarcating some of the worst treatment areas, and that work is mostly gonna be done by probably Ben and I. Ann will probably be out there doing the wetlands, and then
Worst, really appears to be along the roadways.
The roadway is horrible and around near that pond. We've got a lot of cedar, like when you go over the railroad tracks, it's not that bad over in this section over here. We're gonna pick some things out over here and probably GPS the points that we want them to go and cut them. But this is a lot of cedar and oak and beautiful, this is the area we actually wanna burn to start with, and then there's some islands out here, but we're
It just
not-
sounded funny. This is beautiful. This is area.
I thought the same thing. Pat,
That
this-
zero smell really does.
This area right in here, you didn't do anything in there.
That is a whole tree harvest that we're gonna do. There's a spruce plantation in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah, the rows of trees all this far apart,
Well,
it's like,
so
oh, is
we've
that
got
ugly?
that- We've got that over here too, Doug. So here's the ponded area.
Yeah.
So see this right here?
Yeah,
So that
It's the same
comes
thing.
out, and then there's these rows. This is another little spruce plantation. That over there is a plantation that's gonna come out. So that's when we're gonna do like a forest cutting plan, and you'll get the opportunity, obviously.
So that's
for
coming
the
later.
forest cutting plan, yeah.
okay.
The sequence of things is to herbicide it this year, in September. And then following that, they actually wanna do a burn this fall. We have a burn prescription in process. This is off this particular topic, but, we think it requires a notice of intent, but we're not sure, cause mostly it burns the uplands, but it may burn into the salt marsh, it's stock in the salt marsh, so we may need to do a notice of intent for
I'm sure the department will let you know.
that. Yes, they will,
I'm sure they
cause
will.
I think, we're very close to having them look at that burn prescription.
Okay.
I don't know, did I forget anything? Oh, that's right, no, so when the vehicles come onto the island, before our vehicles come on, like we might have like a truck that has that sprayer on it, to get some of the, really thick areas. So that we check all the machines, everything that comes on, they have to spray wash their wheels, cause we don't, bring anything on. And then we do the same thing when they're coming off, we have them spray everything down in the undercarriage, so we're not taking it off to somewhere else. Because I will tell you, that swallowwort that showed up on this one road, that's new.
Someone carried that in.
Someone carried that in, along there. But it's just along here right now. So I think we can contain it, and that is a really, really bad one. The goal is to control 95% of all the invasive plants. And like I said, this is the first hit it hard here, and then we're gonna follow up in the future. As far as work in the wetlands, it is almost non-existent, cause I needed to double check something here, down in here, and over in here, and I did that over the past week, and Ann and I were out here today. And there really isn't anything in the wetland that we need to do. There's purple loosestrife, and it is an invasive species, but it looks like the weevils are in it. There's the weevil that was released, and it's sort of like a foregone conclusion that it's in. It's just everywhere in the state at this point. So there's nothing that's going on in the wetlands, but it's a buffer zone. There is a small cattail marsh over here. We don't really need to do anything in that. There will probably be some buffer zone shrubs that need to come out. And this down here is down as a shrub swamp for DEP, but it actually is a cattail marsh. And purple loosestrife down in there too. So it's mostly buffer zone work. I didn't see anything inside there that I would walk in and have them cut and treat. This purple loosestrife doesn't worry us, there was some buckthorn, but that was at the edge of the buffer zone.
Okay.
So, I think that's it. Any questions?
You mentioned, what chemical was gonna be used, and I would just say that if we threw a condition in there that something, chemicals suitable for aquatic environments should be used in the buffer zone.
She did qualify that.
You know, you kinda said that, but
Yeah, she did qualify
I think it's
in her
in there somewhere.
RDA.
It was in there somewhere. I just
Yeah.
read that.
It talks more about, it doesn't get as specific as you're talking about.
Sensitive area.
Yeah, but it does talk about sensitive area, where did I see
It's
that?
right here on this.
Oh, it's in the narrative, it's in the narrative.
as long as it's there somewhere, I mean, I
Right
think
here.
the intent is there.
And she actually gave the website, I went and visited the website, so sensitive area herbicide, so I can, this will be included anyway, because I would put, with all attachments.
No problem, no.
You good with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else from anybody?
Oh, we're gonna post signs when we're doing it. I don't know about that. For the public. For the public to know what we're doing.
Yeah, it's pretty hard.
I probably have to go get something.
Yeah, you probably earned it today.
She really did think it was, what, 6:30, 7?
This is how,
Pat, you did,
this is how I run.
Pat,
It's
you,
terrible.
I gotta say, you recovered well. It's, you know, you recovered well.
I'm so glad we went to Winfrey's at that particular moment that I got you on the phone.
Any other questions from the rest of the board?
How is the public allowed to go out there?
Yeah, well, I'll let Pat answer that.
It's open to the public, but when we're doing the herbicide, when we put signs up,
Is-
and the thing is that it's probably safe enough for the public to still go out there. We're just gonna put up the warning sign of what we're doing and not close it.
Do they park on Main Street? and
They
walk?
park
They
at the
don't
main
drive
roads.
in, right?
No, there's a gate
Right,
before
before the bridge.
before the bridge, and that gate is in place right now, there's
Is
a gate
is
there.
that parking lot gonna
Yeah.
stay?
Yeah, the parking lot stayed, and they actually added some gravel to it and leveled it out, and it really
I
nice.
buy it every day, so.
It looks, go look at it, it's really
Looks
nice,
good,
so, yeah, they just finished that, I think like today. And that's where people park, and it's a walk-in,
Nice.
yeah.
It looked like they were just finishing up the approaches this morning. They had a roller and they were putting
They
some
were.
material on the approaches, yeah.
They were doing just some tidying up. I would, that's a separate project, but maybe, any more questions on this
Yeah,
one?
hold on one sec. Any other questions or concerns?
Are you doing any work on the other side of the tracks?
Yes, that's included in the 155 acres, I don't think it's gonna be very much at all, as far as herbicide.
It'll be a walking, you won't be bringing trucks to that
You
side.
can actually drive across
You
that,
can,
yeah, Bob drives his tractors across there to do salt marshing, sometimes when the conditions are perfect.
And I noticed in some of the material here that there was some mention of the canoe access area on Route 1, but that's not part of this either.
It originally was, that is still part of the whole management plan, but not part of the grant. The grant.
Okay. You're just doing it on the
Yeah.
main part of Kent's Island and
We are gonna get to that, so that is this over here, we own this over here, we treated that, we did some shrubland work there many years ago, we need to return to it, because shrubland is a very uncommon community, and there's a whole suite of species associated with it that we are interested in, growing those populations. So that was originally on it, but we modified it based on more work that we did out here. And so it's not off the plate, still in the overall management.
so what the more of a forestry, get the
Yes,
brontosaurus.
yeah. We have a piece of equipment called it's a Terex with a forestry package on it. And it can take down things, like this big. And you just,
Yeah, I mean, I've seen the brontosaurus at work out there many years ago.
that's the way it was originally done. We might contract it out, but it's very likely we'll do a lot of that ourselves. Yeah. And if you know where the canoe launch is out there, you let me know,
The canoe
okay?
launch,
Yeah,
don't know where it is.
Does it exist?
I,
I mean, it's
Too hard.
I think you gotta throw the canoe in and jump.
Jump later,
I mean, it's hard. I've gone up and down that one side along the Parker River and I don't really know where that came from. It's before my time.
I mean, that's part of Division of Fisheries and Wildlife, right?
It
Public
is.
Access Board, right? Is that who controls that, launching? I know it's on some list with Cashman Park, Salisbury Beach,
Yes.
and a launching there. That's
Yes.
Public Access Board, right?
No, this particular case is just strictly us.
Okay.
And somewhere along the way, historically, it got that name.
But maybe we could work with them eventually to make
Oh, it's hard.
access, cause
You've been all the
right
way
now
there?
we can't.
Well, I mean, you know, it would be interesting to try to figure out what you could do that would actually produce something usable.
It would be nice for the public to have that. So, well, let's explore that. Wanna go out? We'll go out. I need no excuse whatsoever to go out and look at our property.
Anything else? Seeing no other issues or questions, I will close the public hearing and entertain a motion.
Would you issue a negative determination?
Do I have a second?
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you, sorry.
You're welcome, no problem.
Yeah, wore all those maps out,
Hopefully I didn't bring any
they're all
ticks.
landed over pretty well.
All right, it's not the first one we've seen, so.
What flavors did you go with?
Mexican chocolate. Here's what the river went through, is
So did you go to the
downriver.
downriver?
The new one,
Yeah, we should keep talking.
What is-
on that.
I don't know, maybe they wanna know what is Mexican chocolate?
It's dark chocolate with like cayenne pepper in
Ooh.
it. You don't notice it right away, you pick it and you go, oh, chocolate, and then it gets just a
Get a
tiny
little
kick
bit of
in it. It's very good.
Right.
Okay.
Well, thanks again.
Yes, and with that, entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close, propose a motion to close the public hearing.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.